The question that everybody's talking about, as a matter of fact, I was just talking to a trader about this right now, is whether or not this latest round, and a very significant round of quantitative easing, is indeed the right move. Let's talk about that with Representative Bill Huizenga. He is a Michigan Republican. He is a member of the House Financial Services Committee and the subcommittee that oversees monetary affairs. Congressman, welcome. A pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Sue. Thanks for having me on.
This is basically open-ended accommodation by the Fed that will continue, they say, even after the economic recovery gains a little bit of steam. It is pretty much unprecedented. What's your reaction to it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Went into mid-2015 for their target. It just seems to me that having these artificially low, I would argue, interest rates really just is, once again, underscoring the bad economic policies that we've seen coming out of this administration and the uncertainty that's out there.
Do you view it as a political move by the Federal Reserve or not?
Well, you know, I take them at their word that they're non-political, but again, I think the fact that they have to do this or feel that they have to do this is just, again, underscoring what is wrong with our economy and the problems that have been put in place. The uncertainty in the business community really is what's causing this, I believe, and Rick Santelli's right. You know, it's really going to be those bond traders behind them that are going to determine whether this is going to work or not, and I have my doubts.
What do you think the Fed should have done?
Well, you know, obviously, as was pointed out in the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago by Senator Graham and the economist from California as well, there are ramifications that we aren't even really, I believe, baking into this and calculating into this. And so I'm not sure that taking an interest rate, my background's in real estate and development, and taking an interest rate from 3.5% to 3.25% or 3.25% to 3.15% is going to determine whether someone feels good about their situation in the economy and whether they're going to be able to go buy that house. You know, that's not the situation. It's really about that uncertainty that's out there.
Do you feel better or not as good about the fact that the Fed decided to include mortgage-backed securities in its program?
To me, it really doesn't make a difference. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other in many ways, and it doesn't make me feel substantially better somehow. I still have a lot of concerns about this quantitative easing at all levels, and I think, as was pointed out, maybe the average voter doesn't know who Ben Bernanke is or what the Federal Reserve is doing, but they do know what that means in the economy when it comes to the uncertainty and that feeling that they're getting employers as well, who we know are sitting on unprecedented amounts of cash on the sidelines because they feel frustrated with the tax and the regulatory policies that are coming out and the uncertainty that's being created.
Well, that brings us to the fiscal cliff, and the conversation is subtly shifting down here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange from the fact that now we know what the Fed is going to do. We don't know what Congress is going to do, and they're facing the fiscal cliff. How close to that cliff is Congress going to take the country and the markets?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it's dependent on whether the president is going to take us up to that cliff or not. He's been very hard and strident on his language about absolutely wanting to have that tax increase. I think we've seen some of the actions out of the Senate. The impacts on small business owners, on estate taxes and some of those things are just going to be huge. And we need to solve this. I happen to agree with Bill Clinton, or at least the Bill Clinton from a couple of months ago, when he said, hey, we shouldn't be raising taxes on anybody right now at this point in the economy. I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay. Congressman, thank you for spending time with us.
Great. Thank you for having me.
We'll get back to work.